Welcome everybody to the next edition of the Stay on Course podcast. Today I have Ken Fay, and at his core, he is a storyteller. Throughout his career, he has collaborated with clients and creative teams around the world, bringing ideas to life through compelling visual narratives. His work has earned numerous industry honors, including an Emmy Award for a documentary he wrote and directed. And Ken has led end-to-end productions across commercial, internal, and campaign content, consistently creating work that inspires, educates, entertains, and truly connects with diverse audiences. And today, we are going to talk about how powerful storytelling can transform the way you connect, communicate, and grow your business. Ken, welcome to the Stay on Course podcast.
Julie, thank you so much. It is great to be here with you.
Thank you. And before we get started, Ken, I ask all of my guests, what is your favorite food?
There are so many great dishes out there. I will have to say, though, the classic, the pizza. Yeah, because you do anything with pizza. And if you do it just right, oh my goodness. So then you start to ask, is it thin crust or thick? I haven't met a pizza I haven't liked. So it could be either.
Today, we're getting into ingredients for success. You know what? I need to address the elephant in the room, though, before. Tell us about this Emmy Award that you won.
Oh, great question. Yeah, so the Emmy Award was something that I was not planning on. Obviously, it was a story about something very personal that happened in my life, but happened to the lives of many. I was in Connecticut at the time. Newtown, Connecticut is my home community. So you may recall that would being something to do with Sandy Hook School. And then, of course, the shootings that happened there. So It all spun from that. Yeah, and I was brought in to tell a story in the aftermath of that event. And I decided, as a storyteller, I've seen enough about what everyone knew what happened, but what people were not necessarily seeing was the healing that was happening, the way the community came together. And so I focused the lens on the healing and the way we were coming together as a community, supporting one another and getting one another through that terrible time, and how there were these beautiful dogs, their comfort dogs were sent into town, and how the dogs came into this town with their handlers, and how that sparked conversations and processing, and how that moves through and ripples through a community.
Wow.
It was a powerful, yeah, it was very personal because I experienced it myself, but I had to tell it from the outside looking in, but I was living on the inside looking out. So it was quite a piece. So that's what it was for. And then I find out that it was nominated, and I end up going, and sure enough, next thing, fast forward, I'm on stage.
And you're winning an Emmy Award. This is like the lifetime achievement of any human to win some kind of award like this. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like the gold medal, right? It's like the thing. And then what the beautiful part of the whole experience, really a big, beautiful part, was the reactions, the conversation I had in the after. People were texting me, calling me, writing me, just chatting with me about that story, where they were, what they were experiencing at the time that it happened, but also that the way I told it was in a way that they could respect and they could feel. And that was the award, that it touched people the way of healing. And that's really what it was all about.
That's really good. Yeah, it was a terrible tragedy. I remember where I was actually in that moment in time. And I love the point of view part of the story, because every story has different point of views. And today we're going to get into this. We're going to get into telling these really good stories, and how do you do that? And how do you tell some good stories so that you can accelerate your business growth? A lot of people come into session here and we tell the importance of telling stories. We understand that it's important. Everybody understands that it's important. But today we're going to get into the how. How do we create the stories, the content of the stories, and how does that help us get to those places? So where do you want to start this discussion today?
Oh, I love this. Yes, so let's start about how we break into the stories. Like, what should you be paying attention to as you break into telling a story? And I'll just start by saying, you really want to take into account three simple things. That is, and I call them the setup, the turn, and the transformation of your story. You want to dig into what are all the places, faces, and spaces of your story. Whatever business you have, or nonprofit, or person, brand, what are the places, faces, and spaces? What is it about you that explains who you are? Then you want to look toward the turn of your story? Where is it that your audience will understand that and then go, oh, I get it. I'm excited for it. Oh, where does this, how does it impact somebody, right? Your business. And then the transformation is where you're looking ultimately toward, and that's that moment they're like, oh, okay, I need to either have your services, buy your product, or I need to learn more about you, or donate my time, talent, or treasure, if that's something that's needed, or volunteer for you even. Transformation is that moment that your audience, it aligns their heart and their mind. You've been able to use the science and art of storytelling to motivate and move an audience through your narrative.
Yeah. Let's go into it. Can we go into these a little bit deeper, each of these setup, turn, and the transformation? Because what I'd love for people to have is something that they can now quickly implement into their business. You know, even if they're just doing a short, because everybody here that is listening, a lot of small business owners, they might want to be creating shorts, getting their founder stories ready. So let's go through this. Let's talk about the setup. So painting the picture, introducing the people and the problem. Like, give us an example of how we might work that to hook people in.
Well, so let's take it through. We talked about food and pizza and this Italian.
Yes.
Let's talk about a restaurant, right?
Let's talk about a restaurant. Yes.
So let's put everybody in that mindset. Now you're sitting at your favorite table in this beautiful Italian restaurant, and what do you smell? The aroma from the kitchen. You just ordered your favorite meal, and you're sitting in this space. That's the setup. It's the anticipation for what's going to happen next. You already have a little bit happening around you. You have the aroma, you have the music in the background, you have this wonderful service experience, you have your favorite glass of wine or beverage, and you've made this order. Now, what are you doing? You're anticipating the food. That would be included in the setup. So when you translate that to a business, you want to set your audience in that same seat where they're expecting, they're looking forward to what's going to happen next. And you can do that very quickly with how you integrate technology and how you integrate messaging, but you can also spread it out into something that is different. There's a lot of surprise out there in narrative. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of suspense, the buildup. You want your audience to work in your narrative and start to try to figure it out and live in that space. So there's two different directions you can go with that. But when you build this moment, that's the setup. That's the part where your audience is can't wait to get more. And
yeah, I mean, it's like in many ways, these business owners are purpose-driven leaders, right? They have started their business because they have a purpose, and they've started their business because they have a dream, right? There's a big dream, there's a big why, and there's a big purpose. And so that all those things are floating around them in the setup of all of this.
Right. It's everything from what they had for breakfast this morning to what their reports are, what's coming in from their teams, what their new product build and development is underneath. All these things are floating around in the mind of a business leader. And how do you integrate that? How do you separate those parts into pieces so that you can start to build with your team what it is you're trying to do? Again, that's all part of that setup process, because it's also it's a mindset.
I'm glad you said setup, because when I took a comedy class, and in the very first category is setup. Like they talk about the setup. How are you going to set up the scene? And basically that's what you're saying. How are we setting up the scene? What are we seeing? What are we smelling? What are we tasting? Who's sitting in the chair? And, you know, it's that whole visual, and not only the visual, the feeling, the smell, it's tapping into all the senses.
Indeed. Yeah. And it's also taking apart who's else is sitting at your table. I'm alone, but wait, my audience, my client is sitting at this very same table because they also like this restaurant and they also like this food. And so now they're there. And so that's part of those are part of the faces of your setup, keeping all that in mind.
Cool. That's cool. All right. So once we have it all set up, we're waiting for the food. Maybe we're waiting for the food to come, or are we just talking to the waitress?
Well, you're again, the waitress talk is also set up. The next comes that turn. It's the moment we've all been there in a restaurant, right? Your favorite one, and you say, "Oh, that's for me. That's for me." Like you just have this in the back of your mind, right? And this plate is brought out, and you can see it just like, and it just slides down in front of you. And what happens? But immediately, the aroma, the look of the food, that anticipation of, oh, now I'm going to eat this, have this wonderful meal in front of me. That's a turn moment. That's where you've taken all the setup stuff around you, and now you've made a aha moment. That's like, oh, I'm going to dig in now. And it made me feel different about my experience in the restaurant. But if you apply that to a business, it's when your client or your audience, they feel differently about what you're offering. There's a turn there where they're like, oh, cool, I get it. Oh, I want that. Oh, that's nice. It's that turn in your story where they start to really connect. So now you hit them on a intellectual level with a setup, and now you're turning that intellectual level to an emotional level with the turning moment where they feel it. So you went from words to feeling. That's the turn in your story.
Yeah. But is it a good turn or is it a bad turn? Like, because in business, we talk about pain points a lot because that's how we sell, through pain points. A lot of people do. But so is it a good turn or a bad turn we're having?
Well, hopefully it's a good turn for your
Okay.
client, your audience, and for yourself too as a business, where you see the impact that you're having upon your audience or your client. That pain point would also be your part of your setup. You're defining what the pain point is, and you're contrasting that with what is not the pain point or solution point. The bridge
Okay.
is through you. So when that plate arrives, or when that product arrives, or service or conversation point arrives, you've addressed that, and now you're allowing your audience, your client, or the person you're speaking to as a business, to start to say, oh, I can see how I could integrate that. And that's a turn moment. You went from intellectual to feeling. If they're saying, I can see how that could work,
Okay.
that dives into that emotional piece.
So the turn moment is an emotional piece where they feel something. Could it be that they feel pain in this moment? Like, oh, I don't have this right. I need to, like, could it be one of those moments? Like, oh, I need this thing. I'm missing this thing and I feel the pain of that. Is that what
Yeah,
this is?
it could absolutely be. That could be a way of reacting to it. It could be that pain moment where they're like, oh, I don't have that. Again, that's a feeling. It's also, it's an intellectual moment where they realize they don't have it, but they're also, anything that has this feeling
Yeah.
sound in your mind, even if you don't express it, is that feeling moment, like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, or that questioning moment.
It's the aha.
It's
Yeah.
the
It's the aha, the ooh, ah, the aha, the moment of inspiration. I talk about this all the time. It's so funny because when I open up a class, anytime I'm teaching, I actually have a slide. It's called aha. And I say every time, I'm like, listen, I teach to the aha because the aha is brain fire. It is going to be the thing that shifts you from thinking this way to thinking this way. And that's why I'm here. I'm actually here for you to have a transformational moment. And so hopefully what I'm teaching you today is going to bring you to that aha. I actually set it up like that.
well, that's thinking like a cinematic director. That's thinking like a storyteller. That's wonderful.
I didn't even think that. I just thought I was speaking to the teaching aspect of things.
Yeah. Well, and we're all teachers, aren't we? We all teach either the next generation or a team. Sometimes we teach our client, our audience. Sometimes we're learning, constantly learning ourselves. We're always students and teachers. And so I think there's an element of teaching that is within all of this. Because a teacher, what will they do? Go up to the front of the room or what have you, and they'll show you the problem of whatever it is. It could be maths, could be history, could be whatever, but they're showing you what the elements are. And then that moment of turning is, this is how you can solve that.
Hmm.
And that, so it's the same. Teaching and is very in tune with.
Storytelling. Interesting. Interesting. I just didn't make that connection before. But that could be really powerful then. I got to figure out how to use that even deeper because it speaks to transformation, and transformation is the next part of this.
It is. It is exactly right. Transformation. So in our restaurant example, you've had your meal. You're like, oh, that was so. What happens? That was so good. Maybe it could be where you were just so, you say thank you to the chef, or you're just like, this was the best meal I've ever had. You're having that moment of, of fulfillment after you were set up, turned, and transformed. So what does that do for you? I want to come back to this restaurant. I want to order this dish again. I'm going to tell people about this place. That's transformation in a restaurant setting. What does that mean in your business, though? That means that your client, your audience, they were impacted by what you had to do. They were impacted by your offer or your service or your product.
Yeah.
And so that they're raving fans now. I got to tell people about you. Everyone needs to have this. Or thank you so much. You just got me through this part.
Right.
That it's that real transformational thing where now the heart and the mind have totally aligned, and now they're actually processed it on every level of the story. And if you're in a cinema, that transformation could be laughter, tears, people clapping at the end of the film, just feeling that emotional, like, oh, that was so good. I want to watch it again. Or, hey, I didn't see it that way before. Now I see what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it plays out in all of our lives every day.
Yeah.
The steps.
When I think of transformation too, and you tell me where this fits in, is like, okay, I had this experience. Now, next time I'm going to do something different because of it, or I'm going to become a different person because of this experience.
Yeah. And that is a big transformation. So that is on an emotional intelligence level where you're like, wow, I see where I was going. This has transformed me. My eyes are opened and I want to do it differently if should this come my way again. Or
Yes.
this differently, right? It's how people can come through terrible things in their lives and find that healing.
Hmm.
That's transformation, healing, When,
Well, I mean, and that's where I was headed with the aha and the teaching is that most of the time, if I'm teaching, I mean, I'm spending maybe an hour with people. I want them to have that transformational moment where they're going to now change their behavior in some way because I want the time that we had to be valuable, that they're learning something new, that they're taking something away from that time, and so that's me teaching, but like I'm thinking like how do you like what's the parallel to storytelling?
it's it's having a story and a narrative that will stick with them, that they will be thinking long after they've watched it. So it's something that either made them laugh, made them cry. Usually it's a feeling. It made them
Mm,
laugh, made them cry. It may have challenged their beliefs. It may have just shown them something that they're like, I totally align with that.
yeah.
It may so that's the power within the story of teaching is that when you're after you finished it, you're still thinking about it, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, how can I integrate that idea? It may be something where your feedback comes from your audience, right? A lot of the times, especially when you're putting stuff out there, you may find that your audience they're into what you're putting out there, and they start going in a little different direction. Well, as a storyteller, and staying ethical about everything that you do, it's okay to follow where your audience wants to go next if that's part of your story.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say, okay, so again, here's a movie connection. Why do we have sequels to films? Why do we have multiple films with the same title, but just different stories with the same characters? We fall in love with those characters and the
That's
idea of
true.
the
It's
story.
it's so true. I just like I have this like really bad habit of binge watching Netflix
Yeah.
and like I think the one that I probably watched most recently, the whole series, it was long. It was like seven seasons was Nashville. I don't know if you've heard of it. But I was like, you know what? This isn't about just the stories. It is about the people. I love these characters. They're like my friends for the few months
Yeah.
that I'm watching these things. And I become like a part of the like, I don't know, it's just weird how you become like so involved in it that it literally is this huge escape from life.
Yeah, it definitely can be, but you're right. Your visualizations at that point is you're bringing these characters into your daily life,
Yeah. It's
right? And you
really
can almost have conversations with them if you know them well enough. You think, well, they would talk like this, and they would say this, and this is how they would react to this.
it's kind of weird,
Yeah,
like I sometimes I think like, okay, this is a very bad, it's almost like an addiction. Like once you get in, it's that, that when they hook you and then there's that moment of time where you're like, nope, I'm in now. There's no turning back. Like I'm in and I'm getting to the end of this thing. Like I know that moment for myself,
Yep. Well, that's been a human condition forever. I mean, think about just even reading a book. I can't put it down. I got to know what happens to her or
Yeah.
him. Think about that. It's our drive as humans to have community and to be with one another. As much as we may want to be alone, but no one really, obviously, it's just no one's an island, right? I mean, it takes a village. All these things that we hear, there's reasons for it. That's why
Yeah.
we have a drive to be with one another as human beings and share and care and grow and learn and teach. And well, all that can also come from what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're seeing, we kind of infuse that into our psyche a little bit.
Mm. Oh my gosh. And this Nashville thing for me, it was more than just the story. Like these were singer-songwriters. And that was very much like what I wanted to do with my life.
Oh, there you go.
So
Yeah.
it was like there was like more than just I'm watching this like soap opera. There was more to it than that. You know, when you were talking about the Italian restaurant, I'm assuming we're talking
Yeah.
about an Italian restaurant, right? I thought like this is a very nice setup. Like it's a good setup, where you gave us a very pleasant setup. Tell us about like the not so nice setup. Is it the same sort of thing?
Well, it is, but it's in a different way. So let's take a nonprofit. I did work out west with working with homeless, the houseless, something that was very serious, something that was not fun, something that was not happy. It's still the same setup, turn, transformation. However, now rather than having someone feel like, oh, it's my favorite restaurant, my food is coming, and I feel so pleasant, it's more like, oh, I'm on the street. I'm sitting on a sidewalk. I feel the cold pavement under my hands. I'm hungry. I have no place to sleep. I,
Hmm.
I'm not, people are walking past me. They're not seeing me. It's just because that's the experience of what it's like to live on the street. And so it's still those elements of faces, spaces, and places, but it can make you feel uncomfortable or distressed. But what you're doing is you're being true to your subject. You've researched, you've learned, you've gone in there. I've interviewed people that were living on the street. We had teens out there during COVID. How did they get medical attention? All these elements come together in story.
Wow.
But then the turn point is we all love that moment, don't we? And I'll say the underdog story, but don't we all love the moment where
Love it.
someone has that impact in their life because someone cared?
Yes.
Someone reached their hand down and pulled you up.
Yep.
That story happens a billion times out in the world. We don't always get to see it or witness it. And sometimes that hand is not an organization or a nonprofit. It could be someone else who happens to be homeless or houseless, helping
Yeah.
someone else that also is. It's that
Wow.
human condition of care, kindness, and concern that we innately have. And so there's that turning moment to say, oh my goodness, that person is just, I could be that person. Or that person has touched me in such a way that I can't see that the same way again.
You can't
I
unsee it.
can't unsee it. A box is not a home. So next time I see a refrigerator box in an alleyway, I'm going to be like, is somebody living in there? It's like that's transformative.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Okay, how do I deal with this when I see someone on a street corner? How do I get involved with a nonprofit or a group, an organization in my town that's doing something about it?
Hmm.
Can I be an advocate for that? How do I give time, talent, or treasure toward helping to try to solve this powerful human issue?
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to the same setup, turn, transformation. It's just that it's different ingredients that you're putting in there, and you want to bring your audience from like feeling it to like the ability to move through it to transform them into, okay, there's something I can do about it.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like sales to me a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections here. Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you're taking action on something. I mean, you're selling, not that you're selling anything here, but helping people, but you are selling the idea that you have to that you could help people.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
interesting. You know, I'm obsessed with transformation stories. I literally am obsessed with it. There was a time where I was watching My 400-Pound Life. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Oh, I
I
did.
yeah, and I people will be like, "Why are you watching this?" And I'm like, "I want to see the life transformation. I want to see like the Extreme Home Makeover Edition. Do you remember when that was on
Oh
TV?
yeah, absolutely.
I was obsessed with that show. But I love a transformation story. I'm obsessed with it. I can watch it all day long. I want to see lives turned and changed for good. And so that gets me every single time.
Yeah. And it's also you're able to cheer someone on in real life. Nonfiction storytelling has a life of its own, right? When if it's fiction, then you're like, okay, here's a character, they go through this thing. I know that's going to end somehow and they're going to make it or not make it, but it doesn't affect you on an emotional level so much. It could be
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah, yeah. But when you're looking at a real life human being story, then you're like, oh no. Like what did happen to her? What did happen to him? There's closure. You
Yeah.
need closure to that, or you need to understand where that can go. Um, it hits you on a different level.
Does. It does. So let's talk about the emotional part of this because it's a lot of emotion, right? We're playing with emotions, Ken, in storytelling. And so I don't know, like eh, from your perspective, and I also talk about this when I'm speaking, like I want to have them feel something, like from the funniest moment to the darkest moment. Like I want to play in the emotional space with people, but I'm not sure really why I want to do that. I just know that they're going to like pay attention more if I do that with them. So like what is the real purpose of touching emotions and playing in the emotional space with people when it comes to storytelling?
Humans are emotional creatures. We have feelings all the time. We wake up with a feeling. Did you get off the wrong side of the bed? We have expressions in our language that talk about how we're always feeling something.
Hmm.
We're emotional creatures. When we speak to one another, um, why is some people you feel so comfortable with just sitting in their presence and hanging out with them, and other people are like, oh no, I feel a little distressed. I feel there's anger in the room. There, you can almost feel people in the
Yes.
room. Right?
You can. You totally
That's
can.
great. We speak more without words. Our nonverbal, our intentions, all of it speaks all the time. It's just, do we understand how to use that language as well?
Wow.
So we're reading nonverbal, whether we know it or not. And we're reading intention, we're reading emotions all the time. We're always trying to figure out and that's just who we are as humans, as we're just wired this way. But it also allows us to be empathetic. It allows us to have sympathy. It allows us to have encouragement and help someone have hope and realize that someone might be having a bad day, and to be able to do a simple kindness, smile, open the door, just help someone carry their groceries,
Yeah.
whatever it is. These narratives have been with us in real life forever. So we can't, it's hard to separate from an emotional creature as we are, take out the emotions, because that causes a whole set of problems that we all know can lead to other things.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
then
yeah,
I feel like, especially when it comes to watching movies or Netflix, because I'm kind of on that thing right now, but I'm thinking about that, is that, we're there to enjoy ourselves. And so when we're enjoying ourselves, we're sort of like needing that play, right? It's like a play off of a here I'm going to laugh, I'm going to sit on the edge of my seat, I'm going to duck or whatever it is. I mean, we want to have some sort of fun moment, and I think like I guess there's something about that
yeah.
the juxtaposition of emotions that make it more fun.
Oh, so let's take that even further. Why do we love roller coasters? Why do people love roller coasters?
Yeah.
Because there is the perceived risk, but you know you're going to be okay,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That feeling of like, whoa, whew, that was so cool. Let's do it again. Why do people love haunted houses? Why do people love any of these things? There's this emotional roller coaster that you're on,
Yeah.
come out the other side, and there's something about those things as humans that we enjoy. That's why we loved good discussions. That's why we love great food. That's why we love great film. That's why we love that good book. Well, what made that book
Yeah.
good? What was it? You know,
And there's healing in it. There's actually healing in it because the connections that you make. Uh, the last time I got really emotional was when I watched Wicked for Good. Have you seen the Wicked
no, I have
movie?
not.
All right,
No,
so
I don't.
Wicked, oh, you got to watch Wicked, okay? Because to me, it's like one of the most brilliant pieces of art because it's like it's the colors, it's the music, it's the characters, it's the creativity that they've done with all the characters because they write the backstory of the Wizard of Oz. It's really
Yeah.
and this thing Wicked was on Broadway for years and I had seen it several times, but the movie is just next level. Anyway, at in the second one, it's called For Good. And the song For Good is so meaningful to me because of my father. And so really the song is about because I knew you, I have been changed for good. That's the lyric of the song. And there is something very emotional about that. It's extremely emotional. And the songs make you feel that emotion. But it also, what it does is it allows you to tap into this like legacy aspect of you and your humanity, right? And like all of that stuff. And so like sang the song at my father's funeral, and then they play it. They sing it in the thing, but then they play it at the end of the movie. And I sat there and I just like, my daughter, my husband were there with me, and I just like ugly cried for like 10 minutes, and they're looking at me like I'm a crazy person. And I'm like, I just want to sit in this feeling right now of like the fact that I lost my dad and that he left me this legacy, and that, this podcast is all about him, and, I carry it forward. And I'm like, I just want to sit in this emotion, and I want to stay in this space as long as I could. There's just something about that. And like, there was healing in that moment.
Yeah.
And remembrance, and it was a gift, right? And that's what the power of storytelling does for all of us. It's a gift. It's a gift of legacy. It's a gift of, how we feel in the moment. All of it is so super powerful.
Indeed. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, that is a moment that you will always take with you. It is living in the moment. It is being present in the moment with yourself or with someone else. That's the most powerful connection you can have.
It is. It's super powerful. And I wanted to end with that story because I just thought it would like seal the deal, Ken. Ken, what are you working on right now, and where can our audience find out more about you?
Working on a few things, actually. I have a group out west that's talking about pitching a movie, so that'll be interesting. I have a nonprofit that my team is working toward. That it's mental health and nature and hiking, which is a powerful story by itself. I've been mentoring a few different folks. I've been appearing at a few different universities virtually to give talks to classes. I've been helping people kind of build their business and their brands. So it's a variety of things, honestly. Folks can find me in different places. You can certainly find me on LinkedIn. You can just find me as Ken Fay on LinkedIn. That's a great place to start. I'm also on Instagram at Ken Fay 1. You can also find me as part of a few teams. Bellastrega Media and Design is a great place to find me, and that's bellastrega.co. This is a group that I have been with, and I've known my business partner there for a long time, and we're developing those stories that hit these deeper levels that we're speaking to. And then people can also even email me at krfcreatives@gmail.com. So I'm out there. If you look me up, you'll find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Stay on Course podcast.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone watching, listening. Appreciate you. Go tell your story.
Go tell your story, everyone. Be sure to visit the episode stack linked at the top of the show notes. It brings together all the links, resources, and key information from this episode in one easy place.